This is the St. John's Podcast with Pastor Mark Stapleton.
Okay, welcome. This is the St. John's Podcast number 2, March 2026.
Second time?
Second time. Glad to be here. Actually, really glad to be here. Again, this is the St. John's Podcast with Pastor Mark Stapleton. My name's Tim Vitek. And today, we're going to talk about faith, family, and community with Pastor Mark. I think having faith and raising a family in today's age presents some difficulties, maybe some strains.
You think?
And just a little bit.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier. But I think that, being in a place like St. John's really gives you grounding, is the way I'll say it. So, so today we're going to talk about why faith still matters in families today. And again, this podcast is about everyday life. And the first segment, the first thing I'd like to talk about is, the realities that families are facing. So a lot of families today, they're feeling stretched thin, busy schedules, pressure, uncertainty. What do you see families in the church community struggling with right now? What are some of the big issues?
I think families these days are close to being overwhelmed.
To say the least, yeah.
Overwhelmed. Okay, there's just so much going on, and I think that they have to choose their priorities. If you start going after the woods instead of the trees, you're never going to get out of that. Okay, right. But I think that for yourself and for your children that you're raising, do you want them to be physically strong? Of course you do. Okay. Do you want them to be emotionally strong? Of course. Mentally strong? Yes. Even relationally strong? And I think because of this, teenagers these days, they have a hard time just having a different relation with someone. They have a hard time even having some kind of eye contact with you. But the thing that we miss here, in my opinion, is spiritually strong. And that's the part that's lacking these days. And it wasn't when I was a little boy. It wasn't at all. But I think today it is. And out of those, physical and mental, emotionally, and relationally, I can make the argument that spiritually strong is the most important. I think I could even win that argument. Okay, but these days, I want my son to be a really big success, or my daughter to be a success in life, and that's fine. There's obviously nothing wrong with that. But when you think about it, this life lives for 80, 90, 100 years, and then your life is over. But then us in the Christian faith, we believe that the body gives out, but the soul keeps living. And that soul never stops. It never, there is no death of the soul. And that's the part that's important. You could be president of the United States or whatever, that's fine. But if you don't have Jesus, then that means nothing.
Right.
And I think that part is lacking these days. It really is. So.
Do you think, thinking about families and kids, you talked a little bit about phone, right? Kids, there's a lot going on with phones. Obviously, that's a big area of contention with parents. What are some of the pressures do you see our kids facing especially at the younger ages?
Pressures. Well, they are into so many things,
right?
And I think that do we start that a little bit too early? Yeah, I mean it used to be that if you're on the soccer team or the hockey team or whatever it was, those pressures started when you were in high school, and now it started in junior high. And now it's even gone below that. I mean, now we have clubs that are in, start at 4 and 5 years old. I mean,
Right.
holy man, what are we doing here? But now, what's really important in that life? Okay, I think that could be a problem. There's a story about well, let me just what is really important in your life. Okay, and there's a story about a special needs little girl named Tracy, and she was 4 or 5 years old. She was on the t-ball team, and Tracy was awful at t-ball, just awful. Okay, she was mentally challenged, physically challenged. She ran with a limp, and finally, it's the final game of the season, and now Tracy's up to bat. The score is tied, and Tracy gets up there, and by a miracle of God, she hits the ball. I mean, it's just like it's a miracle, okay?
Right.
And she knocked the heck out of it, hit it over everyone's head. And here's Tracy running to first base, and the first base coach goes, "Run, run, Tracy, run, run!" Okay, and she rounds first base to second base. She's never been to second base because she's never been there. Okay, she gets to second base, and now she's going to go try for a triple. Okay, the ball is still way out there in the outfield. She's going to make third base. Okay, and the people on the stands are all screaming and yelling and clapping for her, like, Tracy is going to get a home run. This is it. Okay, she finally gets to third base. She's now coming to home, and one of the spectators had a little puppy there, and the puppy got loose, and the puppy sat right there in the middle between home plate and third base. And Tracy's rounding third, and she gets to the little puppy, and she looks down, and she stops, and she kneels down, and picks up the little puppy, and cradles it to her chest, and then she reaches down and kisses that puppy right on his head. And that's when Tracy was tagged out.
Oh,
Okay? But for Tracy, that was the most important thing.
yeah.
That was the most important thing. The home run meant nothing. Okay, but to give that dog a little bit of love, that was most important. And when they have so much pressures in their life, they're involved in so many things. What's the main thing that's really important in your life? And it should be God. It should be. And we forget that. Okay? Like, oh, I want to do this in my life, and that's all fine and good. But when it comes down to it is what's really important in your life. And we need to each take some quiet time and just say, this is it. This is my main focus. But what's really important? I think that we've kind of lost that. I really
Absolutely. Do you think on the opposite side of that coin, do you think that parents are feeling a lot of pressure to get their kids involved in a million different sports, a million different activities, and do you think that there's a constant pressure from parents? I know for myself, being a parent,
Yeah.
there's always this pressure of, am I doing it wrong? Am I
Okay.
getting my child, involved in these activities at the right age? And if I don't, then there's something,
Yeah.
I'm doing something wrong, and then I
Right.
have that guilt.
Right. Everyone wants best for their child. Okay. Do some parents think that they're doing it wrong? Sure, I'm sure that there are. And for the old timers here, they'll remember the old TV show Leave It to Beaver. Okay, where the June and Ward Cleaver. Okay, and there's no perfect father anymore. There's no perfect mother. Okay, June and Ward were supposed to be the perfect ones, and they're not. But no one really trains us to be parents.
Yeah.
You don't have that. You don't take 101 parenting in high school. That isn't there.
No.
You need to kind of figure it out yourself. But you need God's help on that. You really do. Okay, Lord, I'm having trouble with my son, having trouble with my daughter. Lord, am I doing this right? Okay? If I'm doing it wrong, then you need to show me. Okay? Yeah. And can the church help with that? And the answer is yes. We have youth group and that kind of thing where we can help out. But you can't do it all yourself. You can't.
And I think that's a good point. You kind of alluded to the asking for help, asking God for help.
Yeah.
And from my own experiences, as a father, especially with having a son with, that has certain needs, what changed for us in our life was when we did ask for help, and I think that getting rid of that guilt, right, or that I shouldn't be asking for help. Would you say that that's a component to it as well? Getting rid of that guilt and just giving in and saying, yes, I need to ask for help, and it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I know guilt is my kryptonite. Okay, I have a problem with guilt. Okay,
Yeah.
I just do. That one I just have a really hard time. But we need to take that to God and say, Lord, take this guilt away from me. Okay, I'm a sinner. I know that. I have problems. I am not the perfect father. I am not the perfect mother. But now, am I doing this right? I don't know. But I need some help here. And sometimes you need professional help. Sometimes you need spiritual help.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, Pastor, can I talk to you for a minute? Just one-on-one. Absolutely. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I can't help you, then I'm going to find out someone who can. So.
And with that idea of guilt, some people would you say it's fair that some people associate guilt with the church, right?
Oh, sure.
There's this certain obligation and this guilt that comes along with it. How does that make you think about, or how should we think about faith differently, right? Instead of having that guilt feeling or that obligation, how should we be feeling? Or what are some ideas that would probably help parents out there to feel differently about it?
Can the church take the guilt away? Yeah, partly. But is the church really good at making people feel guilty? Yes. Okay. Some denominations are really good at it, where you have to be at church every single Sunday, or you're going to make God mad at you. Okay. No, it's all about grace.
Right.
It's all about grace. Okay, and that's what you need. Should you want to come to church because you really want to? Okay, no one wants to come to church and here's someone saying how bad you are and all that. No one wants that. You get that enough at home or at work or something. Okay, you need to come here to church to be renewed and get something that'll last you through the next week, where you come to church again.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that using this term guilt a lot, but, I'm guilty of that, or was guilty of that. And, I think one of the greatest things about St. John's is that there is no guilt. I don't feel guilt here, right? I don't feel an obligation to come here. It's pretty interesting having a 17-year-old son, and he's up every Sunday morning and basically yelling at my wife and I, "Are you ready yet? You better get. We're going to be late. We can't be late to church. You better get here."
Yeah.
And it really comes from love. He loves being here. I mean, and from that, I love being here. My wife loves being here, and it's absolutely changed the way I look at life and pursue my own goals, and it's just basically changed everything about the way I perceive life and approach life. So, I think that's a really important message for young families, especially, to hear that, you can come to a place like St. John's and you don't feel guilt, and I think you use that word grace, and I love that word. Like, I absolutely love that word.
Yeah.
And
Mercy is something that you don't deserve. Grace is something you get what you don't really deserve. And grace is something that's the Christian faith.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Christian faith. It's but do we get things? Do we deserve punishment sometime? and instead we get grace? And the answer is yes. Okay, and that's really important. I remember when I was 8, 9, 8 or 9 years old, and I was a pretty good kid. I was pretty good. I didn't get in major trouble, but I remember one time, and I forgot what I did, but I got in trouble at school. And back then, this is in the '60s, if you got trouble at school, you also got it when you got home.
You got a spanking.
Okay. Oh yeah,
right?
I mean it was you got it twice.
Yep.
And because of that, you didn't get in trouble very often. Okay. And I did something stupid, and I got it at the principal's office, and now I come home, and there is Mom waiting for me, and Mom goes, "To your room. Wait till your father comes home," because Mom was the nurturer, Dad was the hammer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the way that it worked. And so I went to my room, waiting for my punishment, and around 5 o'clock, you hear Dad come in, okay, and so you get out of your bedroom and you stand at the top of the stairs. You're trying to listen to them because they're talking about you.
Right.
You know that, okay?
Yep.
You can't hear anything, so you go back in your bedroom and you wait. 6 o'clock, 6:30. 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, because I'm a mental giant, I finally figure out I'm not getting dinner tonight. Okay, all right, that's fair. Now it's 8 o'clock, 8:30. Now you're like, just get it over with. I mean, give me the punishment. Let's just get it over with. Finally, at 9 o'clock, you hear Dad coming up the stairs, and he's walking with purpose. Boom, boom, boom. And he's doing it on purpose. You know that, okay? And so he finally gets up the stairs. He comes in my bedroom, and there I am sitting on the side of my bed. And Dad sits right next to me and doesn't say a word. He's just milking it. He does.
Yeah.
You can just figure it out, okay? Finally, Dad goes, "Well, your mother told me what you did. And Mark, I am so disappointed in you." And of course, I'm in tears.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm 7 or 8 years old, just bawling. And then finally goes, "Well, here's your punishment." And I forgot it wasn't a spanking, but it was measured. It was fair. It was fair. And you're just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry." Okay. And finally, I remember this like it's like it was yesterday. Dad gets off the bed, and he kneels right in front of me. And so our faces are very, very close. And he puts his arms around me, and he goes, "Mark, you messed up. You're a sinner just like us. But I want you to know, Mark, that I love you very, very much." And I'm just sitting there like, that's grace.
Yeah.
That was grace. And I will never forget that. That was a special moment. Yes, I messed up. I did. And Dad, I'm sorry. I'm really, and he knew I was sorry. He knew it. But now I need to be loved again. A little 7 and 8-year-old boy, they need that.
Yeah.
Okay. And, but Dad showed me grace. Dad showed me grace. It was wonderful.
I can. That's a great story. I like thinking about that. I can actually still hear the snap of my dad's belt. You know, he would take it off and he would snap it, and once you heard that snap, you knew you were toast.
Yeah.
It was done. It was over with. So
Yeah, I only got one spanking in my entire life.
wow.
Around 5 years old, and that I remember like I'm not going to do that again. And
Yeah.
I only got one.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, grace. I again, just going back to that word, I think that's one of my favorite words right now. Is just grace. The idea of grace. You know, for the families out there that are listening and they're not sure where they fit spiritually, because it's, you know, let's call it what it is. It's a touchy subject these days, right? So for the families that aren't sure where they fit or are unsure about, being spiritual, what would you say to those families? How can St. John's, this institution, help those families?
Well, I think I said this last time. Why don't you just come in and visit us? Just come in and see. Okay, if we have something spiritually that can help you, then you are welcome here. You are, and bragged last podcast about the people in this church that are just wonderful. They'll give you the shirt off their back, okay? And if you want to come here, if you're looking for a church and you're going to, well, let's try them out, and you come here, you just want to stay for that 1 hour and then leave, fine. Okay, that's fine. But if you want to stay here and become part of the family and part of this community of believers, now we have people here that can help you out. Okay, sometimes you need to talk to someone other than your pastor or your friend. Or talk to someone, and just like, I got this problem, and what do you think? What do you think I should do? And that's what we have here at St. John's Lutheran Church. This is very, very important to us, and we will take care of you if you want. We're not going to force it on you.
Right.
But if you have some problems like that, then come here. You want to sit in the pastor's office and talk to me? People say that I'm easy to talk to. Okay, hopefully I
believe it.
That's true. Okay, but now we can help you out together, because sometimes you have this problem and you're praying to God, but you can't see God. You're not hearing anything. Sometimes you need flesh. I want to talk to a real person here.
Yeah,
and we have that here. We have wonderful, wonderful people here.
You hit the nail right on the head. And again, as someone who's been coming here for a couple years now, I'm not a lifer, but my family and we started coming here a few years ago for the school, and it just kind of evolved. That's the one thing I've noticed about the community here, is that everybody's different, right? You have people from all different walks of life, all different ages, but the one thing I've noticed right off the bat is, it's true, everybody cares about each other here. And, you may have someone who's a mechanic, somebody who's an office worker. There's something in common, right? Mm-hmm. There's something in common, and a lot of that is the need to help somebody else, and I think that's really apparent here. Mm-hmm. And, I think it's something that a lot of people could benefit from right now.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, one last thing, we'll close it out. There's some good stuff going on at the church right now. We're coming up on Easter.
We are.
What are some of the services we have coming up?
Well, we have Wednesday night services at 7:00. We have a dinner in the gymnasium at 6:00. Right before that, and it's a free will offering. We're not charging. If you want to throw some money in, fine. If you don't, fine. Okay, but it's more where we can sit at the tables there and just talk things out. And then we have a 7:00 service. That's maybe 30-minute service. Okay, but then Palm Sunday is coming up in 2 or 3 weeks. April 4th is Easter. Or right before that, we have services on Maundy, Thursday. That's a Thursday before Easter. That's at 7:00. Friday, Good Friday, we have services at 3 and 7. And then on Easter, we'll have services at 8 in the morning and 10:45 in the morning. And then we'll have an Easter brunch in between those services.
Wonderful.
So it's very busy. It's a very busy time.
Very busy time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
but we welcome everyone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you're looking for a church, why don't you just try us out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and again, there's family here, there is a community, but there's Jesus here also.
Yeah,
and that's what we're trying to show people.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Pastor Mark. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me again.
Yep. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
This is the St. John's Podcast with Pastor Mark Stapleton.